Hey everybody, I'm James Michael.
I'm DJ Ashba.
I'm Nikki Sixx.
We're Sixx AM. Our record, Prayers for the Damned, comes out today, and we are here answering your questions. So let's get into this. What do you say?
Let's go. What do we got?
All right, number one, Camden from Houston says, during the Sixx AM tour, are you all going to have the VIP experiences for all concerts?
We are going to have the VIP experiences on all of our headline shows. When we're playing festivals, and we are playing a lot of festivals, it's not always up to us, you know, so we don't get to make that decision. We would like to meet all you guys as much as we can, and possibly in the fall, when we go out and tour, we might be able to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I look forward to those.
Yeah.
Aaron from Las Vegas. With all the layers that James has been showing us in the Sixx AM music, how do you compensate for only having one guitar player during the live shows? Okay,
yeah,
so
dude.
What they're referring to is I've been doing this little video series where we're kind of dissecting the making of it.
I've seen them. They're really
what do you think
good.
about it? You like them?
I shared it.
I was a fly on the wall.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's fun doing, but it has raised a lot of cool questions about the process. One of the questions we've been getting a lot deals with is, how do we take all of these different layers and then do a live show, based on those layers?
Sure.
So why don't you explain that? Because it's a pretty interesting
That's a great
procedure.
question, and it really, to be honest, doesn't matter what band you're referring to. Every band has to face this, translating it from what we do to make an album sound great for the ears. You have to do a lot of work. So what I personally do, I go in, and it's physically impossible, obviously, when you're laying down 20 different guitar parts. So you take the most important ones and you kind of rewrite a part from beginning to end that will translate live. So your ear physically doesn't really lose any key elements.
So you actually have to recreate a new arrangement of the song that kind of that encompasses the most important parts of the recording.
The best stuff.
For a really quick example, really quick example, Prayers for the Damned, everybody's probably heard by now, starting out with the acoustic, that is the main part, and then it goes into a little solo into this next part, and you kind of go through and you handpick the key parts.
Yeah, and I think that's, the important thing to remember about that is that everything that's on a recording isn't necessarily intended to be heard or focused on.
Exactly.
Some of them are just layers that are supposed to be in the background. Yeah. So when you get to the live stage, people are paying attention to other things anyway. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't. We do the same thing with vocals. We do the same thing with bass parts sometimes.
Well, it's about the song. It really is about the song. And one thing that we've been able to do is take our songs and break them down to just acoustic guitar, acoustic bass, and James singing. And if it's a great song like that, you just turn up the volume.
I believe they say it's correct me if I'm wrong because you mix the albums, but the human ear only focuses on three things at once.
Yeah. So that would be lead vocals, and lead vocals.
Well, as I
lead guitar, rhythm guitar.
It's not the note that I dropped. So.
Good question, Aaron. All right, let's move on here. Melissa from Flemington, what were the main inspirations for the songwriting on the new record? That's a good question. Why don't you start with this one?
We were out on tour for Modern Vintage, and we were playing, and we love our body of work, and we were like, wouldn't it be great to have more songs that were geared more towards live? So when we started writing, every song was working titles like can't wait to play this one live, please let us open for you, this will be the opening song. Like, we were like joking about, but the point was the songs were geared towards being live, living, breathing animals. And then however we broke them down from there, from lyrics, melody lines, guitar parts, drum parts, bass parts, they all kind of had that same heart. And even the ballads, the ballads were like a song like Better Man. We're like, we can play Better Man live.
Yeah, and messaging has always been incredibly important to Sixx AM since the very beginning, all the way back to the Heroin Diaries soundtrack. We take the lyrics very, very seriously. So when we were writing this record, we were really affected by what's going on in the world right now. And so a perfect example would be a song like Rise, our first single, which has really been resonating with people. And I think it's because we were simply reacting to just the volatility that's going on, not only in the United States with this crazy election cycle, but also just things going on around the world. And you know, we actually just started this Reason to Rise campaign, and it's become clear that people are just craving, you know, being asked what's important to you, what matters, what will you rise up for. The reaction has been phenomenal so far. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I think lastly, the fans. The fans were a huge inspiration on the Modern Vintage tour that we played, to see our past catalog connecting to you guys and the fans out there in the crowd so heavily. You know, it made us want to get back in there and create more music for everybody. And the fact that we, for the first time, were able to bring our live band into the studio was just awesome, and capture that whole thing, that magic that we all felt on stage onto 2 albums was great.
That's true. Good question, Melissa. Lynn from Sweden. Is there any chance that you will come to Sweden? Well, actually, I think we're doing 2 shows in Sweden.
We are.
Yeah.
Sweden Rock Fest.
So if you miss them, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sweden Rock Fest, Grunelund. Which one is that? Is that
that's
Sweden Rock Fest? Yeah.
They're both in Stockholm.
Yeah.
So we're not playing. We're not playing all of Sweden. Only Stockholm this time.
Stockholm, one of my favorite cities in the world.
Gothenburg will be to you next year.
Yeah.
We hope.
Good question, Lynn. Allison from New Orleans. You get no better than you 3 rock and roll guys. Had you not been rockers, what would you have been? Ooh, I like this question. Nikki, what would you be if you weren't the...
You know, someone said a gynecologist years ago, and I didn't come up with it. I like that.
I vote for that one for him. Yeah. How about you, Dave?
I don't know. I mean, I'm addicted to forensic files, so I'd have probably been a crooked cop.
Oh, nice.
I'd be a cop. That's great. And a gynecologist. So what now? Who rounds the band out?
I wouldn't bust you.
No, of course
for
not.
any wrongful doing. So
I'd be a counterfeiter. When I was a kid, I was totally fascinated with counterfeiting, whether it was like counterfeiting money or fake IDs or whatever. That's what I'd be in prison right now.
So as you can see, none of us are actually very healthy people.
That's right. Helen from Dublin. James, what do you do to keep your voice in shape when on tour for so long? Great question, actually. Since 6 a.m. hasn't really been a touring band until recently, I never really had to think about that. And so when we'd be writing these songs and these melody lines, we would just we'd push my voice to the limit, and then when all of a sudden it came time for us to tour, it's like, oh my God, what have we done? You know, so that's a good question. It's important to stay incredibly healthy. You know, keep the voice very healthy, keep the voice very strong. Do a lot of vocal workouts. One of our background vocalists, Melissa, is actually my vocal coach. So while we're touring, we're working constantly on a daily basis to keep my voice in shape. That's a great question. Denise from Lynn. Are the fall shows going to have the same awesome meet and greet packages as the spring tour does?
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a simple.
That's going to be great. Because that is the frustrating part about doing the headline shows and the festival shows is we can't really meet as many fans. So we're going to really be able to dive into it. We want to create something really special, and we're kind of thinking about ideas now. So if anybody has any ideas, send them to us.
Yeah. Okay, we got time for one more question.
Okay.
And let's see what we got here. Here we go. Niall, N-A-I-L-L, Niall from Ireland. DJ, what gear are you using on this tour?
I am using the
Trojan?
brand new...
Sorry.
I teamed up with Schecter, thanks to Nikki introducing me to them. But
sick guitars.
Amazing.
Sick brand new signature guitars with signature strings coming out from Dean Markley, and Kemper amps, and Shure wireless packs and microphones. And yeah, we got a lot of cool gear coming.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you for the questions. Sorry we couldn't answer more of them. Anyway, the album is out today. Prayers for the Damned, 6 a.m. It's our 4th studio record. We hope you get it. Thank you so much, Sixx Sense, for having us on here.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
We'll see you out on the road.
Bye.
Peace.
Beautiful.
All right.
Okay.